Okay, hello everyone. In the next series of interviews after the launch of Field First, I'm spending a little bit of time with Chrissi Jackson, CPO. So Chrissi, thanks for some time with me this morning. Really exciting times following the launch of Field First here. It's really a monumental chapter in Totalmobile. And I suppose the first question I really have for you is, if you cast your mind back whenever we started to create the platform, and clearly everything that we do in Totalmobile starts with the customer, what were some of the common customer challenges that you found that were most influential in shaping the product vision for the Field First platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, if I cast my mind back to some of the conversations that we were having specifically around around the Field First hub, but then thinking about the platform more generally as well, we really were trying to kind of inhabit the personas that we wanted to build this for, and kind of think about what's challenging them in their day-to-day life and how they are. They're not coming into work and thinking, right, I'm going to get into Totalmobile, I'm going to start using all that software. They're thinking about the job that they need to do. And so we tried to kind of really put ourselves in the shoes of those key user personas that we are serving every day. So our strategic planners, our day-to-day planners, the administrators, service managers, field operatives, and just think about what are the jobs that they need to do and how are they measured on their performance. And then how might our existing product set, in the way that it was presented and the way that they were using it, where were they presenting barriers to them being able to achieve those jobs that they need to do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
Some of the common challenges that we started to identify, and also kind of thinking about, speaking to customers around this as well, was being able to, just access all those systems in one easy way. So that kind of idea of single sign-on, being able to access all the systems without any barriers. We also know from our NPS surveys and from our customer surveys that there are some real challenges for our customers in really getting to grips with what we are delivering in terms of added value to them through their SaaS subscription. So new features which are being delivered, how they can use them, how they can adopt them, how that can deliver value for them. So having that kind of information all in one place was a really key thing. And then there's the kind of the underlying data as well, which, we know that a lot of the foundation of Field First is really in the data platform as well. Surfacing those insights, understanding how the operation is working as a system rather than in the individual parts, and being able to make decisions really quickly on the information that's being presented to them. So really, it's all about kind of delivering the plan that has been created, understanding changing priorities, understanding how the software that they are using from Totalmobile is supporting them in the delivery of that service, and then where they can find opportunities to improve and kind of improve the delivery of the job that they need to do, whether that's from an operational perspective or from a planning perspective or delivering the work perspective. So there were some really key themes which came out of that exercise, and which we'd heard for a long time from our customer base, which we were able to dig into.
Absolutely. And it's the alignment. Well, first of all, it's understanding the wants and needs from the customer base and making sure we are aligning anything that we offer. It's how they're going to be able to extract the maximum value from the platform. On the platform itself, it's incredibly feature rich. There is an awful lot that lives within the Field First platform. And there's a lot more coming down the line as well. It's very much is something which will be continuously improving. How did you prioritize which features that needed to be included in the initial launch versus those that then ultimately get inserted into our future roadmap?
And again, it's like it's trying to kind of think about what is the value that we really want to deliver through the platform. So what's different from what came before? And the prioritization really came from applying good kind of product thinking practices and kind of user-centered design ways of thinking as well. So what we really wanted to make sure is that we really land the platform very well with our customer base and with our users. And in order to do that, you need to think about look and feel, because if things feel like they don't feel like they come from the same place, then you're never going to kind of develop that feel of a single platform. And so everyone will know that with the launch of Field First, it was really all about bringing that kind of single platform level functionality, look and feel through the headers, all of that kind of thing within the products was about adopting and emulating some of those really big platform vendors who are out there, people like Atlassian, people like Microsoft, and we looked at what they did. So Patrick Hussey, who's our UX lead, he did an audit, a competitive audit, or just an audit of what's out there to see what are the design patterns, what are the kind of the platform-led characteristics that we would need to adopt. And that kind of gave us a little bit of a blueprint for how we needed to develop the headers. So getting our navigation in the right place, making sure that got that consistency about how to navigate around the platform, and bringing that kind of user management into a single place as well. But we also wanted not just to look at what other people are doing, but also think about what is the value that we ultimately want to deliver to customers through the platform. And so we kind of created these value themes as well. And we didn't really create them, we distilled all of the ideas that we had into these value themes around connected customer experience, removing silos, unifying data, personalization. And we wanted to make sure that we hit on each of those in some way, even if it was quite minimal. It's setting out our stall and saying, we're going to hold space in the platform for greater personalization over time. We're going to hold space for being able to search across the whole platform and find information from a single entrance point. We're going to hold space for improvements to our product documentation, our release notes, and what's new, telling people about what's coming in the platform, what they can benefit from, and enabling that adoption of new features. So again, we kind of tried to prioritize elements of that across those value themes, so that we were really kind of not just scratching the surface, but beginning to really set out our stall in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, these value themes that you talked about here, they will be continuously evolving and improving. And it is what is a very rich roadmap moving forward, which is going to enable us to do that. So,
and I think the other thing, just to add to that, Simon, sorry, is that what we're trying to do as well is we're trying to think, because the platform is not just one thing. It's not just about putting a kind of a pretty banner over the top or a single gateway and putting hub in place. It's about how do we then think about the platform as a combination of different capabilities, and with hub across the top. And we talked a lot about making sure that we have a really clear idea of what belongs at the capability level and within the modules that we serve, versus what belongs across the top and becomes part of the connected platform experience in and of itself. And so that's kind of a theme that kind of underlies everything as well, which is what do we deliver through the products and through the applications and through the underlying capabilities, because it belongs there and that's where it makes most sense from a user journey perspective, versus what's kind of lifting it up and giving that holistic view, which is then enabled by the platform and really delivers that value. So there's that other aspect as well, which we're always taking into account.
So, Field First was a huge project and remains a huge project for Totalmobile. For us to get to where we are today, clearly the cross-functional collaboration, communication was key, absolutely fundamental to its success. How would you say that ultimately influenced the final offering that we have with the launch of Field First?
Well, it all comes, a lot of the hard work is not so much in the design and the development of the work that goes into the platform. It's bringing it to life through the conversations that we have internally and making sure that we've kind of considered every angle. And what was really key to that was the business readiness team that we had around Field First, which you were part of, obviously, and kind of as well. But that was a truly cross-functional team, which then we were able to ask the questions and kind of test our thinking around how we were going to roll out the platform as well, how we're going to take it to market, how do we implement it for new business, how do we then kind of tell the story for our existing customers. One of the really key things, because from a product perspective, we can get very excited about things which actually, when you take it out to a customer, they're like, well, we can take it or leave it. It looks nice, but maybe it doesn't deliver that much value. And being able to use that cross-functional business readiness team to kind of test some of our thinking and conduct some deeper conversations with customers about what does this really mean for you? What would you like to see in here? How is this going to impact your day-to-day? What kind of information do you need in order to be able to roll this out to your business? What do you need from us just to kind of facilitate that adoption in the first place? That's where a lot of the influence came in, of that cross-functional team. I think, we're still at the early stages of launch and rollout. So the roadmap is, it's there for the taking. We can think very expansively about the things that we'd like to bring into the platform moving forwards and things we'd like to develop in terms of additional value. But at this beginning stage, it's all about how we communicate about it. How do we hit the right note for our customers? How do we equip our customer success managers with the right information to go out and have the conversations with customers, which will get them on board and get them adopting Field First as well. So the influence has really been less around kind of what do we build and when do we put on the roadmap, and much more about how do we drive that adoption of Field First, how do we message it in the right way, how do we equip the business to operate in a way which is much more platform centric than product centric. How do our processes need to change? How do we, we've made changes in Salesforce, we've had to think about processes for deployment, and all of this will be a kind of an ongoing program of work which will help us to get ever more mature in how we deliver the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to touch on that a little bit more now because we've launched Field First. We are in the early stages of a project with a number of customers. The customer response post-launch has been fantastic. I think we've been really delighted with it. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the market for this. There's real appreciation of the value and an understanding that this is where field service management is very much going from a software perspective. So that customer engagement piece, we talked about it kind of prior to launch and making sure it shaped what our ultimate offering is. But in the early stages of the implementation project with a number of customers, what is our strategy for making sure that we're gathering and incorporating their feedback, and how ultimately will it influence the platform moving forward?
Well, one of the things that we are doing is we're kind of in the process of redesigning and then relaunching our customer ideas portal. So we've had our customer ideas portal in place for a number of years now. It's in need of a bit of a refresh, and it only just to kind of bring some of our new products to bear. So asset lifecycle management, for instance, isn't in there yet, and so people who are beginning to adopt ALM have nowhere to put their ideas at the moment. So we need to refresh it anyway, but we also want to bring it more into line with our internal ideas process so that we can be a lot more intentional and visible and transparent in how we deal with ideas coming into the business and into the product team, and how we then decide which ones move onto the roadmap and which ones maybe don't. So that's one of the key things we want to do, and one of the ways in which we are framing that is through the excellent work that David Dean is doing around the digital engagement program. So our newsletters, we've done a bit of content in there about the ideas process. As I say, we need to revamp the portal itself and then relaunch that. We can get that into the Field First hub, so there'll be a direct shortcut link for people to be able to provide their feedback as well. So that will be the primary way that we will gather feedback from customers directly. But we're always open to those conversations through the CSMs, through the QBRs, through the account managers, and anyone who's kind of in those conversations with customers on a day-to-day basis, through our user groups, customer advisory boards. There are so many different touch points that we have with the customers and with the users that we can leverage to bring that feedback back into the team and make sure that we are delivering the right improvements. And I think it would be remiss of me not to mention that one of the key things that we wanted to deliver as part of the Field First platform was the introduction of AI enabled features as well. And for anyone who's not aware, we've been running a pilot with a small number of customers in care and in housing around our first AI pilot, which is to do with visit snapshots, visit summaries. We've seen some great success there. So if you haven't heard about that, then check out some of our recent system demos from the product team, where they've kind of given a bit of an overview of how that works. And those pilots, the ability to kind of take a proof of concept, turn it into a pilot, take it out to a small cohort of customers, understand the value, measure the value, and then bring that back into our internal thinking about how we commercialize that and how we then capture value from that as well and derive value for the business. That's a whole new thing that we can that we're now exploring through Field First as well, and it's wonderful to see something which is it's a core AI capability which can then be pushed out across the different verticals, across the different capabilities, and into customers' hands in a really managed and effective way.
Yeah, it's all very cool and very exciting, not just for the future, but for the now as well. And I think that word exciting is one that I keep touching upon whenever I'm doing these interviews. And we've talked in this call about the excitement from the customer base post-launch and that real willingness to get involved and to adopt this. We've spoken to multiple industry and sector experts who have showed great excitement about this, and I've really kind of stated that this is the future and the direction which effective field service management is going. And we really shouldn't overlook the excitement that we maintain within Totalmobile, that our staff have, about really kind of bringing this to life over the upcoming months, quarters, and years. But I suppose the final question that I really want to ask you is personally for yourself, how do you see this platform transforming the way organizations are managing their field operations in the medium and long term?
That's a really good question. I think there's, how do you kind of give an answer to that in a couple of minutes? I'm not really sure. I think what it enables us to do is really think carefully about the new ways of interacting with our software, with the data that's held within the products that we sell to our customers, the new experiences that we can provide to our customer base. You know, there's just such a huge amount of potential in there when you kind of bring in things that just really make the platform what it is. So that I think the connected kind of UX and CX is so important for us to be able to make sure that we can not just, you know, just pull in our existing capabilities and our existing features and functions into a single place, but then enhance them and embellish them and kind of and bring to bear some of those UX improvements around usability and around frictionlessness and around intuitiveness. I think that's something that we shouldn't underestimate in terms of the impact it can have on our customers' kind of KPIs around things like adoption and, you know, compliance. We've seen some really good results from some of our early engagements with Hyde and R3 around insights and how they're driving improvements by using field service intelligence products, and they're driving improvements which are in their kind of leading indicators of future success as well. So I think if we can adopt some of that way of thinking as well, like how can we leverage our insights? There's so much to talk about. Our metric service, which is going to be the next thing that comes in from a field first perspective, improving our understanding of how our users are using our products. So how are they adopting it? Which are the most used areas of the system? Where are they getting stuck? Which operating systems? You know, all that kind of stuff. We get so much more data around and insight around how our products are being used that we can then feed right back into our funnel at the top to understand, well, okay, well, if we need to improve in this direction, if we're seeing some data which is telling us that we need to do some work over here, then suddenly we've got a much richer, you know, scene to mine in terms of where we focus our efforts, where we focus our investment, where we kind of get the biggest bang for our buck. So that's a bit of a rambling answer, but I think having everything in one place like this just gives us a number of different dimensions to explore, whether that's through a user persona dimension that we want to kind of really drill into. How do we make the work of the field operative so much better? Or do we drill down the kind of the unified data route and think about how can we deliver new and exciting ways of interacting with the system which don't necessarily rely on you filling in a form or what have you? It's more about just asking a question and getting a response. Where can I improve, you know, this outcome for my business? And then we tell you all the places where you can kind of make improvements and so on and so forth. There's a number of different dimensions that we can begin to explore once we have everything in one place, everyone working in the same way, the greater insight into the usage of our products and how that then pulls through into value for the business as well. Yeah. I think it's really exciting.
No, listen, you're absolutely right. There's so much to talk about. In fact, so much to talk about that we might have to do another one of these in the very near future. Right?
Thinking more things which are happening. I haven't mentioned them, but yeah.
But in the meantime, we'll leave it there. Listen, thanks as always for this, Chrissi, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon. All right.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay.